Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment of what I genuinely believe is me making unnecessary disclaimers, qualifiers. So, for those of you who are here for the first time, hey, thanks for dropping by. For those of you who have been here before, I make no bones about my general distaste for Redcat. But I have in recent months, I have made some disparaging remarks about the Redcat Ascent. About this. It's upside down. About this. That's as much of the box as we can fit in. And my buddy, who, the blind benefactor is how he shall be known, my buddy made the kind and considerate offer to put his money where my mouth is, and he said, I'm going to order one, and I'm going to have him send it to you. And he said, I want it to be known that this is not my fourth vehicle. He is the owner of the GFO, of the Colonel, and of Diablo. And he said, I don't want people, because he has very similar feelings about Redcat that I do. He asked me pointedly, I'm sure, he said to me, do you think that Redcat has turned it around? My first instinct, as always, is to say, no. No. What would give me any motivation to think that? Because, first and foremost, this vehicle is fitted with a Redcat Hexfly TS servo. What do they call it? It's on the box. What do they call the speed control? Let me read from here. Cordless digital servo, the HXTS. The Hexfly V4 brushed crawler ESC, claiming a 5 amp BEC. Forward motor mount with a 42-turn 550 motor. Those who have looked through will note this is all of the exact same electronics that come in the new Redcat Lowrider hauler. That's just efficient, right? We're just reusing. Because when I think competition, I think the same electronics that you'd put in a two-wheel drive tow truck. But I've been wrong. I've gotten to a point in my life where I think I almost enjoy being wrong. Like, prove me wrong. The burden of proof is on you. Prove me wrong. And I will say, people are going to say that I don't just drink the haterade, that I make it myself. I can't fully, I can't offer too much argument against that. This thing has everything to prove to me. I will agree with people who have mentioned it online that I think the body looks great. It really does. We got no big approach and departure. Should be great. Feels a little. I mean, we'll weigh it and whatnot. It is just out of the box. Suspension out of the box. Stiff, soft. Okay, should be all right. We've got the hinged body mounting system. Do I recall correctly? Yes. And then I think it just pops off of the little pin in the front. Yeah, there we go. Again, points for that. We have the removable bed. We spent the extra, my buddy, I say we, spent the extra $10. It's fine. It's fine. I like the look of the body. And here we've got the stuff. So, oh yes, the radio. This is a re of something Dumbo RC. It feels pretty good. Typical. Feels like an RTR radio. As long as we've got EPA, which we do. Yeah, okay. So, here was my, you know what? Pull up a chair. I'm pulling up a chair. Here was my initial worry, and I'm not going to say that it's confirmed already. We are very early into this. I have to power up a soldering iron. We got a T plug, and that's got to get an XT60 on it. Cause for concern. Let me break it down for you. Front end geometry. Geometry in total, but front end geometry specifically, has never been a Redcat strength. And it's still not. Because the front end relies on triangulation. And you will note, due to the motor mount position, the front upper link is on the driver's side. But we still have a driver's side chassis mount for the Panhard and a passenger side axle mount for the Panhard. And what that means is, effectively, the Panhard, because of where the front upper link, yeah, we can see it better there, where the front upper link comes in and where the Panhard is attached, the front is not triangulated. It doesn't have triangulation. For whatever reason, we have, perhaps just from assembly, we have lower high clearance links mounted sideways. And because of the placement of, I mean, this is very LCGE comp adjacent. We've got, I would put 10 millimeters of up travel in the front and just full bump steer. Not just, now, don't confuse axle swing and bump steer. Because sometimes during compression like this, the axle will swing because the Panhard, the geometry isn't quite perfect, so the Panhard is going to pull the axle to one side or the other. Like if you don't get your Phoenix dialed perfectly, you can get a little bit of axle swing. Now we are talking about a lot more suspension travel on something like a Phoenix. This has that is full. That's full squish on this side. So we've got 1.5 inches. Again, most comp style rigs sit very low. This one does not sit very low. You would ordinarily think about seeing the chassis way down there. In the front, we're already in the top hole furthest back, so there's no change we can make there. What I see, and I'm going to make judgments, attempting to be ignorant of the fact that this is a Redcat. I'm going to make judgments based on the fact that what we're looking at, we have positive anti-squat, so I don't think we're going to see really good extreme up performance, at least not based on that rear link geometry. We are going to see how negative the effect is. You can watch this tire tuck out. We're going to see. There are also claims being made. Honestly, you would want to flip these links around the other way to keep the tire from going into the link. I don't know how much we can lean on them. This one might hit the drive shaft if we go all the way inside. No, I think we're good. I think that, if nothing else, will help. I can try getting a little, well, let's turn them into HCs and see how that looks. I mean, it might hit the drive shaft a little. Front pinion angle is not great. The rear pinion angle looks great. So, when you turn the wheels, you can watch the Panhard shifting angle. Now, yes, the shocks might have hydro-locked a little bit in transit. Damping feels pretty good. Spring rates look to be, I mean, we've got to toss a battery in it. Spring rates look okay. This is where we're going to operate from. This is a Quickview format. This thing is $299.99 of your hard-earned money. It runs like this. I will put the requisite number of... Do we insert something in there? What do we? It's got a trapdoor. 4 AA A's, No, the battery tray is molded in to the bottom of the radio, so you have no option. It is, yes, it is part of the radio. So you have no option to switch that to anything else. So you are, well, as with most RTR radios, you are stuck with AA batteries. And I have made vocal many times in the past that I'm not a fan of any radio that uses 4 AA batteries, because they just don't last. They tend to be battery eaters. This looks mostly mechanical, so we should be fine. And I have very low expectations for the radio anyway. Much as I have very low expectations for all of the electronics, the only one that is really the outlier here is the HXTS. They're claiming that RTR in this configuration, 35 kg, which is, I mean, that's doable. 35 kg. That's $26 of your hard-earned money on Amazon. But those Amazon Blue cases produce above and beyond 35 kg. I just want to see if this thing will actually turn the thing. We have, as I had anticipated, we have next to no gear reduction. For a rock crawler, we have very little gear reduction. I'm not 100% sure what kind of reduction we're looking at in the portals. That is for the second installment of this. We are going to get forensic, and it will be completely pulled apart. I will get you drive ratios. I will get you front rear weight bias, all of that. What this episode is putting the blind benefactor's money where my mouth is, which is making this RTR an RTR, which involves soldering on a plug and installing batteries and going to where rocks live. That is the extent. We will then, that wasn't even rewarding. Like, it didn't even have the, I mean, screams quality, right? I don't know. I'm going to be, I am in the performance evaluation of this, I am not going to be harsh at all. I am going to review it for what it is. It will be reviewed. They are making big claims. That feels pretty good. Do they smell like tires? They smell like the Pep Boys. So yes, they smell like tires. This is a Trepador pattern. The Trepador pattern has proven fairly extensively to be less than great. We're on plastic wheels, so our sprung to unsprung ratio is poor. But it's RTR. Everybody RTR is going to come with some plastic wheels. We've got the brass pinions, born to die. We've got all the stuff. What I'm trying to do is look at the potential for moving forward, right? I don't think I'm going to be blown out of the water by the stock performance of this. Oh, I just caught vision of this huge chassis brace here. But with no suspension travel, like straight vertical travel, 12 millimeters. So what's the rear? Yeah. We get 3 fingers in the rear. I think I loosened them up a little. About 3 fingers in the front. That's a very Americentric measure. Just under 2.5 inches, just over 60 millimeters of flex in any corner, which should help. I still have many questions about the choice to employ a flat rail steel chassis. Is it though? Yeah, you know it is. It's got a nice brushed finish on it, but towers are aluminum. That chassis is very, very steel. Yeah, that I don't understand that at all. And it's like 1/8 inch flat steel. That chassis has got to weigh more than a C channel for sure So why that's not aluminum, I have questions. It looks like, at least in the rear, it looks like we've gone to an almost conventional bumper mount. Redcat mounts tend to be a little redcatty. So that's something. I don't know what these things are about. Like, it looks like it has holes for a fan. I don't know what they're thinking with that. Some of the clearances are iffy. Drive shafts to links. Top drive shaft to motor. We've got some stuff really close. And then we have some stuff that's counterintuitive. I'm going to, this is me clicking on the 936 so that I can solder that plug on there. Seeing a full slipper in place on an FMM is honestly weird. And I just, out of the corner of my eye, I just caught something out of the corner of my eye. Well, we're waiting for the soldering iron to warm up, so. Does that look like to you, what it looks like to me? Yep. These are the optional underdrive gears for the T-case. Yeah, they're plastic. They're plastic. That's... Oh, hey, buddy. You want to climb on here? Climb on here? No? Come here. You want to go over there? Yeah, we got a little buddy. He's just running around in circles over here. I don't really like shiny spiders, but that guy doesn't seem like he's up to trouble. He's just like wandering around. So let it be known that the gears are in the T-case are plastic. In the forensics, in installment 2 of this, there are going to be a minimum of 3 installments of this. We are going to have the Quickview of the Redcat Everest Ascent RTR. That is what you are inside of right now. We are going to have episode 2, the forensics episode, where we will take it all apart, we will look at it, we'll figure it out. And then episode 3 is my buddy put his money where my mouth is. And in episode 3, the Redcat Ascent will put its money where its mouth is, in which it will be outfitted with the exact same electronics package that is in my $299.99 Element Enduro SE. Fitted with the same rims, the same tires, the same motor, the same radio, the same servo. These electronics, these RTR electronics, will be replaced with the same electronic suite that is in my Enduro SE. And this vehicle will have the unenviable job of going head-to-head against Baseline, the Enduro SE, which is the gentleman here who tests everything. Because he establishes a baseline. And this, based on just the stuff that the internet has told us, should soundly and resoundingly beat the Enduro SE at everything, as this is a tucked body and the Enduro is full fendered. This has got compy stuff in it, and that will certainly remain to be seen. So right now, I'm going to switch this off. The soldering iron is heated. I'm going to solder a plug on here. I'm going to dig up AA batteries. We are going to run this. As outfitted, we've got the... So, is this one bigger? 26, 25. So, in the next run, we are definitely just going to whatever the biggest underdrive is to see how that helps. It should be 0-0 right now. Yeah, it looks like 0-0. But you watch the amount the spur turns for the amount that the wheels turn. I think drag brake is my biggest question. Will it have any? Make your guesses now. I am nothing if not easily distracted. And I was distracted by the little bit of the manual poking out. Attention! After turning on the ESC, you must wait, parentheses, about 3 minutes till the self-detection completes. Otherwise, it may not function normally. The what? This has not been powered on. Points. There's a positives, negatives column going for Redcat for the Ascent this whole time. The ability, positive and negative. Manufacturers, all of you, stop putting the battery there. Just don't. It was obviously set up for a full-blown stick pack, which is mental. Because you're going to, yeah, everybody out there that's running their comp rig is running a 5,000, running a 5,200 hard case. The battery should be right there. And from what little gleamings I've seen, people have discovered put the speed control over there. I mean, we do have straps. We can just slap it over here on the side. It's not very RTR. We're going to try the different options for sure. But the 3-minute thing, that's wild. Easy peasy. Solder an XT60 on there. So barring any sort of 3-minute thing, which, I mean, I don't know why it would do that. But there we go. Yeah, it seemed more brief than 3 minutes. That doesn't seem too bad. Y'all heard that, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Holy shit. I do apologize for my momentary... Yeah. This is a smoke wagon. My number one. My number one concern here from the start was, what are we looking at in the way of gear reduction? Because I felt like it was going to be nothing. And man, getting my ham hands in here. So the clip in the front, they maybe should have tried to go with double clip. There we go. I mean, I want to, okay, let's start right about here. I'm just going to try to tip in here. It's got to be like 20% of throttle input. It sounds like an unholy monster eating gravel. I am going to make every effort to be as fair and considerate as humanly possible. But, I mean, wait. Guys, let's look at, and when I say let, the us, the royal we, the royal us, I'm talking to me. Let us try to view it in terms of potential, because I think in RTR format, you may have seen different things in the past, but what you will get from me, I promise you, there's no, we're not spraying gloss on it. I am going to tell you what this can and can't do, and will and willn't, and we are going to go from there. Maybe the handling will shock and awe, but so far this is as well. I don't know. I feel hopeful about the servo at the very least. The speed control, on the other hand, is like what I'm trying to establish here in this final moment before we go outside. That's minimum speed. That's as slow as you can go. You've seen other things here. Even RTR stuff. That's not very slow. All right. There's nothing left but the rocks. I'm going to say that this is speed control and motor and radio. I'm going to say that this is electronics, 90% of it. The rig is overall not that fast. I want to say high threes, probably right around 4 miles an hour is what you're looking at wide open. The problem is the amount of fidelity between not moving and 4 miles an hour is not there. You can just go full blast. And the transition to reverse is... That's as slow as you can go in reverse. which is honestly about a quarter of its top speed. We've got a little bit of the fan switch behavior. That amount of roll in, right? That tip in, that's as little as you can do. That's minimum speed. And the way the torque is delivered, oh, that pulse width sound is going to do my head in. We're getting the amount of lug noise that we would expect off of a China spec Trepidor clone. I feel like it's at least got to have the gusto to make this. There we go. The trigger modulation is so bad because the trigger itself is oversprung, so you've got to pull pretty hard, and then when the motor gets loaded, this is a 42 turn 550. It has about the torque of a 27 turn 540. Look at this, we got drag brake though. I'll give them that. More than expected for sure. But in place of forward drive, we just have a tremendous amount of lug noise. Like if we had cruise control on this radio, we can do the spin cycle. And you will perceive there's just a tiny bit of traction hop, mostly from the back. Let's almost up. I'm at about 90% throttle right now. And there's the pin. We're just wide open. I mean, if nothing else, maybe we're gonna burnish the tires in a little bit. I mean, I just want to emphasize that, like, this obstacle, and many of the obstacles here in the canyon, they might not from a distance look that difficult, but many of them are deceptively difficult. Slick Rock is an obstacle that is basically testing the tire. Little bit of geometry. The low speed control is non-existent. Okay, can we do the sidle maneuver right here? Okay. Oh, I felt it. There we are. Yeah, the tires have gotten 4 to 4.5% better from that little episode right there. The Joustle Jostle should also have hopefully aerated the shocks a little bit. I'm kind of surprised by the drag brake. For drag brake off of an OE speed control 1060 Cloney, but the ability to modulate is just bad, really bad. And I am indeed feeling the just overall lack of compliance, both in terms of the damping level. Oh, it is not a descender. Whether you regard this as an insult or whether this is a positive or a negative, it doesn't feel like I'm driving a portal vehicle. It feels straight axle, because even with that sky-high ground clearance, I'm never really feeling like I'm that, I don't want to say high. The front end is objectively bad. That crossed over front link, like right here, all the bite is split between two tires. both the tires on the passenger side. So right here, in general, we can assume that the passenger rear is going to have the most bite, and it should notch us over. Now the load is transferred to the driver front. I can't really manipulate it back. Most rigs in that same position would have so much bite transferred to that rear tire, a little three-wheel motion there, would have enough bite transferred to that rear tire that you could power yourself into a roll. And because the fidelity of control is so low, like just trying to get down off of an obstacle is going to reward you with upside downedness. So yes, $299.99. Anybody that manages to stay under $300 has achieved that magical number. But this speed control, I cannot say that it is as bad as an Element SC480X and a Reedy crawler. The 480X and the Reedy crawler have the slightest hair better modulation, but virtually no drag brake. So plus point here to Redcat at the same time. You're going to have to replace either the speed control and the motor or the radio or all three to get any kind of fidelity, any kind of minute fractional control over the throttle. Which is, I mean, in general, the case for everything that comes in a box pre-assembled. RTR does not mean ready to run. RTR means ready to replace, because they keep the lights on and the doors open by selling you something at a price point enhanced, because they're selling you $10 in electronics for variable amounts, but significantly more than what the electronics are worth. Show me. Show me. That rear clearance is high, even with that big pumpkin. Brought to us by the Portals. I want to use a lot of 25-cent words in these instances. Fidelity, granularity, the ability to position the vehicle with a combination of steering and throttle. Most of that comes down to, well, everything we're looking at and the thing you're not looking at. You can't see the controller in my hands. You can see the tires and you can see the vehicle. The front end geometry is not helping it on any level. The tires are not helping it on any level, whether that be a matter of compound. The foams do not feel overly hard by any level. They actually feel pretty soft, which leads me to believe that the carcass of the tire is probably pretty thick. We don't have a lot of unsprung weight, so we don't have a lot to press that rubber down. And then the absolute lack of fidelity. What I will give them is, out here in front of the camera again, this is actually rubbery, and it actually feels really good. That is the best feeling thing. You know, the whole ups and downs, positives, negatives. This right here. See that steering wheel angle? Do you see which way it aims? I'm a human person. I have hands attached to arms, attached to shoulders. That steering wheel should be angled that way so that it's angled back towards me. I don't know who that is designed to fit ergonomically. It aims the wrong way. It aims forward. Spider fingers? I don't know. So the inability to low speed control, you can watch right here, I'll do it again. You go from nothing to, might as well, now's as good of a time as any. Yep. I thought, I had to think that the shape of that body was not going to be conducive to self-righting. And in the spirit of prophecies that are self-fulfilling, that is indeed the case. I don't think there's any amount of throttle that you could apply that would get this thing back onto its wheels. And instead, you're just gonna turtle it. So we are cascading. Failures cascade. You move from a failure, and we have something that's failing, so we say we will replace component A with component B. We put in component B, and we say now we have remedied that situation. But the failures, I worry. It's really difficult to mess up rear end geometry, and it's very easy to mess up front end geometry. And I have seen Redcat mess up both. We have yeah. All right. Ooh, those little rollbacks, this right here, that's particularly concerning. Is the motor getting hot? Like, why are we getting rollback now? That first lock of drag brake on Slick Rock it just locked in. There's no reverse fidelity whatsoever. I just drove over the Undertaker sign, which should not be possible. I'm waiting for a tire to feel like it's seasoning in a little. We gave it quite a spin. Getting some hop, but I think most of that hop is from transfer. I do not have my Quickview sheet on me. I'm kind of treating this as a tire Quickview with a whole rig in between it. The ability to position to the right is everything is absolutely hypercritical to what we're doing right now. And as you see, we can't, okay, prove me wrong. I was gonna say we can't transfer any weight to that side, and we got a lucky hop. If I were writing these numbers down, the numbers recorded at Slick Rock and Daphne's would not be good. So here at Quailin, we will see if effects can counteract effects. If self-writing was a number that we were going to quantify, it would not be good. Yeah, here is an instance where the lack of control is really high beaming us right in the face. So this thing has about, oh my, that was a big side slide. The suspension has about 12 millimeters of travel, which translates to about 60 millimeters of flex at either end, give or take. Someone, I think, heard comp rigs don't flex, and they just ran with that idea. It rides very high, and the shocks are at the uppermost position. It rides very high, even higher than it actually is. And you can get away with some of this if you have other things to make up for it. So far, the Ascent has not rolled to its wheels once. This is a sprung versus unsprung ratio situation because, as I said, steel rails for no reason. We will entertain one more. We haven't made it onto the side hill yet. Any amount of throttle, oh my goodness. I think this is going to be more fun with some decent electronics installed in it. I am desperately trying to give it the wheels. I am trying to give it the absolute minimum, the tiniest conceivable amount of throttle, because we need to be able to modulate to get out onto this side hill. This would just be an like comp rigs don't flex. There's almost no excuse for that rear wheel to be up there like that. We have to take a higher entry line than we want because we've got the side slide here. This is an area of grip and slip. We made it. Like 4 tries and we're out. We're out on the side hill. Yeah. Oh, come on. Come on. The suspension feels really slow when you manipulate it by hand, but it will just project. Like, look at this. You talk about no flex. Get that tire out in the air. And then the amount of traction out of the tire is just poor. Again, that would not be a strong score. I think we are now in the full effects of the power jostle. I gave it a little, oh, come on. Come on. Hey, credit where credit's due. That was nice. That's the best thing I've seen this thing do. Oversprung under damped. Like the springs feel particularly stiff. Was it a fluke? No real. Yeah, it remains. The positionability level is low, but that's a pass right there. That's a passing score. That's the first thing I've seen it do where I was like, do the thing, and it did the thing. Still does not behave as though it has portal clearances though. It feels like it has the higher CG brought about by portals, but it doesn't feel like it has any of the benefits associated with portals. It just rides super high. And again, I will say, respect where respect is due. If you do the thing, the tires and the suspension combined at this particular assault of an obstacle to look half decent, that would have been a like high 8s junk view tire performance. But the modulation is non-existent, and I don't think that there's any one individual culprit. So following our time over at the Beast, come on. Oy, boy, oy, boy, oy, oy, oy. Following our time over at the Beast, the steering has a very slight pull to the left over there, and I don't honestly recall anything that should have contributed to that. I do and have sort of on a level forgotten about Redcat pumpkin sizes. I don't know how I did that, which is why I think it doesn't feel like it's portaled. Because yes, we're high at the axle, but the diffs are just bangers. They're so big that you can just clip them on everything. That ring gear has got to be enormous because it very much breaks over like something with straight axles. Evidenced. You will spend a lot of time walking. You'll spend more time walking to this rig potentially than you will driving it. like I said, this is a quick view of the RTR as it RTs and Rs. Man, that glimmer at the beast was unusual, unexpected. Should be able to move that there. Hey! Oh, got the ground and gave it right back. Again, just for a split second, I was like, oh, it might make it. It did not clear either side of the lateral positioning test here, nor did I expect it to. The pattern of the Trepidor is such that it is a tire where the amount of side bite is almost inversely proportionate to the amount of side lug. This is an instance where the complete lack of flex, that passenger front tire should basically be on the ground. The ability to clear this obstacle as presented is predicated on the ability to place the inner sidewall of your driver's side tire on a little point of rock that is right in front of the snout of this vehicle. You need to be able to get this tire right basically about 2 inches to the left of where it is now. But it is not going to go there. Still a good looking body though. I do like that body. I like it more, ignoring the flimsiness where the two halves attach together, I like that body more in person than I did in the pictures. Yeah, it has no chance. If you can't keep your tire on top of that point, you're not going to make that. So we will go to the soft side, which is generally regarded as the side that is easier to ascend. Yeah, that big cut loose right there, that's not what we want to see. That's all the weight on one tire right there. I'm figuring out the self-righting a little bit. As long as you're not fully on your side, if you flop on an obstacle, you can kind of bring it back. Okay, this is the easiest. The closer you are to the dead limit sign, the easier it is to pull this. Yeah, we could do a full pull here. This is full pull. It just does not have. Okay, that's not bad on the bump. The drag brake. What the hell was that? Like, what was that? Well, the motor is basically skin temperature, so that thing's not even trying. That little bit of... So when the drag brake catches, sometimes there's a little rollback. Okay, that bump is pretty nice. And that ability to bump is a combination of a lot of factors. That is springing, that is damping, that is overall chassis geometry and link geometry. So something is working right. The rear link geometry, at the very least, feels like we're doing okay. That bump is nice and straight. The fallback is 100% the speed control. And the inability to actually make forward progress up the obstacle is the tires. So we know we've isolated some things that are working, and we don't have to go far to isolate things that are not working. This may be the easiest vehicle to flop. And you can see, if the high side tires are much past noon, so the 12 o'clock position, it's going to be really hard to self-right. So we generally try steer down, full throttle, and that just births a turtle. So this time around, It is really, well and truly, one of the easiest to roll in this maneuver. I have tested this on particular vehicles, baseline most notably the Enduro SE, and sometimes it takes a couple hits to actually get him to flip. Steer to the sky, reverse. There we go! All right. Come on, you little blue fella. That was good. I will give you that. There he is. Nice. It was a little too loose over in that section at Undertaker. I got a little more butt to camera here. So, rip. Pretty predictable on that. Utter lack of ability to self-right using forward throttle. But the reverse, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. On a junk view tire test, that would be that, and we will take whatever glimmer of hope we can. That was the best thing the Redcat Ascent has done at anything. That self-righting was actually unconditionally good. And we go from there and we come to here and I have no expectations. All I hear is lug noise, is LUG and PWM. We get to hear lug noise and pulse width noise. For what they're peddling, this amount of throttle control is unacceptable. I don't know if a high clearance link in the back would help, but I think I can say with relative certainty that a high clearance link in the back would not hurt, because I feel this thing hanging up, I think, in the forensic analysis portion. Okay, so his passenger side tires are in some stuff that's relatively loose. Driver's side tires are in just hard pack. And most rigs will just scooch right up this. I think in the forensic analysis, there's going to be more evidence of wear, scratches and marks on the rear lower links than anywhere else on the vehicle, except maybe on the top of the roof from the times I've just boofed it into the rocks. I mean, I don't know. So, in the grand theme of the Quickview, in overarching terms, am I surprised by the Redcat Ascent in either direction? Whether that be I feel more positively than I thought I would, or I feel more negatively than I thought I would. I would say, I think this is a net sum positive. Not much, but a little. It performed poorly, objectively poorly, across the board. We do have some glimmers of hope. The axles feel pretty smooth. They're quiet. The portals seem nice-ish from what I can tell. The tires and wheels, the speed control are in a category that I would classify as garbage. I can't really speak to the motor. I have put my finger on it a couple times. The motor is like the same temperature as everything else. It's not warm. We haven't put any heat in the motor, so the motor's not trying. I don't think the motor is a huge culprit here. The speed control is an atrocity. It is F tier. I like the body, and I have zero complaints about that Hexfly TS servo. That thing honestly seems fine. Would I buy one? No. Does it seem absolutely fine and therefore in somewhere up in the higher echelons of RTR servos? Yeah. Yeah, honestly. Honestly. Compared to a Reedy 1523 or a Spectrum S614 or whatever other garbage that they give us in RTRs masquerading as legitimate electronics, this Hexfly might be the cream of that crop. The body and the servo, good on ya. I have heard tell that the axles are just Gen 8s, Gen 9s. Those seem okay. I certainly didn't expect an improvement in traction when it got wet. Kind of emphasizes the lug noise a little bit. But, hey, hold on. All right. Definitely not worse. Okay, definitely not a lot worse. Oh. I feel like we're getting slightly less and slightly less drag brake all the time. We still don't have the gusto to accomplish a straight pull. Now, I think the rig does. What? Oh, it's moving backwards ever so slowly. It is just very, very slowly moving down. Watching a reduction in drag brake to that degree over the course of this amount of time in wheeling is concerning, sure. But those electronics are not long for this world. The rims and tires, they gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. I really notice just a modest difference in performance between wet and dry, which again is wild. So clearly the compound here is not, they didn't run out and formulate a new compound to make these tires. This is what it is. It exists somewhere else. Do I think that this is an outright abject failure from the start? No. Would I give you a recommendation one way or the other as to go out and buy this, or whatever you do, avoid this at all costs? No. We are not there. We need to analyze this thing forensically. We need to make some upgrades, staying within a, we have an idea of what we want to put in it. We need to pull this thing apart. I want to look at the portals. I want to look at the rings and pinion. I want to look at the inside of the T-case with the plastic gears, which is probably, with a fusion in this thing, where you can't do that. I'm watching that pick up on the noise, on the sound level monitors. You can modulate it. My ability to modulate the noise level coming out of the speed control is significantly better than my ability to modulate the speed that comes out of the speed control. Because like I say, not moving, that much wheel speed. There's nothing in between. The motor at least seems to generate enough torque, and they've definitely got that over Reedy or over those atrocity sealed can 35s that come from Axial. So the motor is better than average. The servo is much better than average. The body is on par with, say, an Ecto. So we're putting it into a price point that's a little higher than the whole rig. Points, that's bonus points. But we will not make any conclusion of any kind until we have given this thing the full go through with the corner balancing, all the stuff on the insides, all of it. We're going to look at all of it. Am I surprised? No. Did it do better than I thought it would? In, like, almost in asterisks, man. Servo, good. Body, nice. Axles seem pretty nice. Despite the big hangy pumpkins, it's offset a bit by having the portals. Like that end on look you're getting right there at that rear pumpkin. If that was a Traxxas rear axle, there would be 7 or 8 millimeters more clearance right in the middle. And this is, not to be trite, a game of millimeters. So if you're a couple of millimeters higher, oh, and I'm not going to talk about an F9, F10, SSD Diamond Pro, nothing like that. We're not going to talk about those axles. This axle hangs down much farther than it should. The shocks are much firmer than they should be. The tires are garbage. I see enough that we can give it a spin. We can put some stuff in there and see what we can do. And we're going to just go directly to a Fusion because there's no point in going anywhere else. If I replace the brush speed control with another brush speed control, I might as well put a 1080 and then some sort of decent motor in it. And a decent motor is going to cost $30 or $40, and now we're past the price of putting in a Fusion 1200, which is $69.99. So all other things, if you ignore every other factor that we have discussed, you have to put $70 into this bare minimum. I would say 150, I would say 180 is much closer to it. So you're out the door at, it's a rock crawler. You're out the door at just under 500. And once you're talking about out the door at just under 500, competition is coming for your neck. So, I don't know. We're going to see what we can do. Such is the Canyon way. Can we make this better? I think so. Can we make it good enough? I have absolutely no idea. It might be little changes that turn it around. Then again, maybe it's got some uncorrectable Redcat in it. And hopefully, y'all come back now here and you find out, we'll all find out together. We'll find out, is this a project that you should undertake? Between the blind benefactor, myself, and the rest of you, the supporters of the Canyon, we are going to find out. Part of the testing here is testing done so that you don't have to do it yourself. We're going to outfit it, we're going to equip it, we're going to forensically analyze it. We're going to find out, is the Redcat Ascent even worth wasting your time with? I just noticed this in this last parting second. Can you see it? Does it show up? There's a fair little bit of play in that. It feels like the whole pot moving too, because the center screw is moving. So that feels like the whole, oh, there we go. That feels like the whole pot's moving. Yeah, the radio is not. The radio is nothing to write home about. We're gonna get there. 2 more episodes. The 3-part Quickview. The first part, the prophecy is self-fulfilled, man. Come back and see us again. Comment below, like, subscribe, consider channel membership, get yourself a Crawl Canyon tea, should be so inclined. I made $2. We'll see y'all in the next one. We loved having you. Farewell from the Canyon. Until next time.